Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to Anime King 2. And today I'm going to be giving you part 43 of What If Izuna Uchiha was Naruto Ancestor. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends on your social media platform, and also stay in tune because I'm going to be posting a brand new episode of What If Orochimaru was Naruto's father. So stay in tune for that and I hope you guys enjoy. And over on Anime King, I already posted a new episode of What If Naruto was from the two greatest clans. So go ahead and check out that and enjoy. And later on, I'm going to be posting What If Naruto was sent to the Marvel world. So stay in tune for that and I hope you enjoy as well. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time hearing my voice, and you enjoy the videos on Anime King and Anime King 2, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. And remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be replying talking back to all of you. So without further ado guys, let's begin this new episode. Start the intro.
I think the girls with their nails done now. Girls with their nails done. I think the girls with their
So the last time we left off, Shino was attacking Gaara, as Temari and her forces started the attack first, as Gaara had no choice, as sand built up around Kankuro, as Gaara crushed him, as Temari went on a rampage, as she started to attack, as Gaara was using his sand to protect all of his Reich soldiers, as Mei platoon then deployed on the field, as Mei went through and started to kill the Reich soldiers, along with their others, as Shino took this as the best opportunity, as sacrifices had to be made, as up in the air, a deploy agent of Shino's special envoys arrived, as all of them started to rain bomb down, as explosions went off, shooking the entire area. Gaara was able to save himself and a number of his troops, but his sand, using so much of his sand as his chakra was wasted out, as Shino and his agents were able to quickly take over the fortress. Meanwhile, Tsunade was pissed when she heard that, as Shino sent a ceasefire as he wanted to talk, as he only wanted peace. He would use that to trade for the fortress. As Haku was talking to Tsunade, as Haku realized something, that Naruto belonged to all of them despite these 6 months as have passed, as she kept Kurenai under strict lockdown, but she allowed the woman to come and see Naruto. As Kurenai saw Naruto on the bed looking so fragile, as she started to cry instantly, as Shino wanted to talk to Kurenai, as Haku brought her to the meeting. As they arrived at the meeting, Shino started to talk and list out his demands, as he told them that Mei Tarumi and the Kazekage Temari is dead, as he had to sacrifice them for this. But the group knew that Shino was going to die, because they would not pardon this treason. He killed 2 Kages and also 10,000 soldiers died. But Shino wanted to quell things right now with the Reich, as he started to list out his demands, as Haku was having none of it, as she then showed them a screen with all of the resistance supplies. Everything was burned, everything was destroyed, and the 520 people that were there were slaughtered. As the group couldn't believe it, who could commit such a tragedy, a massacre, as that dealt a huge blow on the resistance. All of their food, their water, everything was just gone. The biggest base they had with all of their supplies. So yeah guys, that was basically last part we left off. You guys can switch across the place and check it out for yourself. So let's begin this new episode. Everyone watch as Uchiha Sasuke, with the fiercest fighters of the Reich, was in the center of all of that destruction, as he was the one to destroy their supply base and kill the 450 people with his soldiers. You guessed it right, Haku said. Your largest supply base is gone. My army have cut off your route of escape. You can run in that fortress and die without supplies. I won't even have to capture that again. You may have 7,000 strong fighters, but you don't have the resources to launch an invasion. And without reinforcement or aid, we will bleed you dry, Haku said with a dead glare. Kurenai could see the change in Shino, as all that confidence he has was now shattering, and what she feared happened. If you attack us, I will eliminate all of your captured soldiers, said Shino. Haku got up and banged her fist on the table. So, will you reconsider? Shino asked. No, she said, as the group was left speechless as they got a flat denial from the Empress. Not now, and not ever. Do you hear me? We will not bow down to you, never. The Reich will never negotiate with terrorists like you. Then you leave us no choice, said Shino. Haku then raised a hand and she pointed towards him. I will use every cannon, every bomb, every soldier, every weapon that I own to end you. I swear it. I'm coming for all of you, Haku shouted. Enough, Kurenai said, as she glared at each and every member of the Reich and the Resistance. Have all of you lost all sense of shames? Do you have the right to drag endless of millions of families into an endless conflict? As they all were silenced, and that just increased her rage. All of them were leaders and they could not look beyond their selfish feelings. In the past, I too was surrounded by this hatred and this feeling of righteousness. I believed that I was the only one that was right, that I could determine the way people live. I was wrong and it hurt thousands of people. Confessed Kurenai, her voice was now extremely low and fragile. It was these conflicted feelings of pain, anger, that has caused several wars, including this one. Both the Reich and the Resistance have been caught in this unending cycle. I believe that only one of these factions can survive and the other one must be completely exterminated. But a single man stopped me, said Kurenai, as tears started to well up in her eyes. Memories of that moment when Naruto begged her for peace, to show her a better future, as she saw all of it over again. Damn you for making me this soft, Naruto, she thought to herself. As she could hear if they right here kill each other, but that would lead to an unending war, as people would lose family, mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, would die for no reason. That man changed me. He made me look beyond my personal feelings. He cried in front of his enemy. We wounded each other countless times, but he still called me his friend. He saved me. As Haku was completely shocked to what she heard, as she knew who Kurenai was talking about. Did her husband really do all of those things? Was he that determined for peace? Knowing him, he would have definitely done all of these things that Kurenai was saying. That was just the kind of man he was. We were enemies, but we were people as well. As she bit her thumb, her tears are streaming, as her thumb started to bleed. When every one of us bleed the same way and feel the same pain, there can be no bad blood. No one's an enemy here because all of us has been hurt by the monstrosity of war. Shino lowered his gaze at the faces of thousands of his soldiers. Flashed through his mind, fathers, brothers, sons, daughters, mothers. How many have they lost? The hidden villages, the ninjas, the Reich, the Resistance. They are no more. All that is left is humanity, declared Kurenai. Her words were the last nail in the coffin as the Resistance leaders sit back in their chairs. Their faces were fixed on the ground, shame in their eyes. Kurenai then turned as she looked Kakashi, Tsunade, and Haku straight in the eye. If you still cannot forgive the Resistance, then after this war is over, you can have my head in revenge. As there was no hesitation in her words. If this meant peace, if her death could stop all of this, she was willing to die. The look in everyone's eyes have changed. As Tsunade just witnessed, Kurenai stopped another war from happening. Something then happened that shocked them. Shino got from his chair as he gave a light bow to Haku that surprised everyone. I apologize for my rudeness. We will release all of your soldiers immediately, he said. Not to want to be petty, Haku got up and offered a salute as the action surprised them, but the others followed as well. Then I, as the Empress, promised not to attack your army. We will let essential supplies be delivered to you, Haku said. Thank you for your generosity, said Shino. As Kurenai saw the awkwardness increasing, even though they reached a ceasefire, no one was willing to talk more about the negotiation. Then let us continue these negotiations in a week, without any threats. Let's take a break to regain our thoughts, Kurenai said. You have a point, Kurenai, said Haku. We will do as you say, said Shino. The conference ended when the resistance cut off their signal, as they will have to rethink the strategy over. As for once, Haku gave a true happy smile to Kurenai. Huh, a voice said. I should have taken a longer vacation. You guys have handled everything great. Everyone froze at that voice. It can't be. As everyone turned around in shock, as they saw Sakura holding Naruto up, as he was rubbing the back of his head, as he ordered Sakura to bring him here. As Naruto's eyes landed on Haku. Wow, you have gotten fat, he said, as he looked confused, as everyone's face faltered on hearing that remark. Judging by the clueless look on his face, he actually meant what he said, as he had no clue, as Haku was too shocked to say anything. Sakura then whispered something in his ears that made all color drain from his face, as his eyes went wide in shock, as his lips started to tremble. As Naruto's eyes then rolled back as he collapsed, but Sakura grabbed him. Naruto! The three females rushed over Tsunade, Haku and Kurenai, as Kakashi had an amused smile on his face, as a lone tear slipped from his eye, as he was happy, as he sat down in his chair and brought out his little orange book. Well, that went well, said Kakashi. Time skip. So, baby, you aren't kidding, right? Yes. Gon was a fearsome warrior a couple minutes ago. There was just this young girl now who was trying to find a comfortable way to tell her husband about the situation, that they were going to get a new member in their family. As Haku was never been so nervous in her entire life, and his silence was only increasing that. She was well aware of his past with Reich and how it affected him. He had just come back from a near-death experience. But there was no other way. Very soon the child would be arriving, and he would have to deal with it. But what if he didn't accept it? She couldn't even think about the repercussions of such reaction. Over the months she has grown to love this child growing inside of her. She loved Naruto, but there now was a person that shared that unconditional love. One condition, Naruto said, as Haku looked towards him. A smile came on Naruto's face. I want to name our first child, he said. That's it, she thought. As she was surprised, she thought that he would be angry, but all he asked for is that he wanted to name the child. As he spoke again, I couldn't protect Ren. I couldn't be a good father to her. I cannot make the same mistake again. I don't know if I can be a good father or not. Hell, I might even be the lousiest father any child can have, but I'll try my best. As long as I live, I will keep on trying and never give up. If Haku wasn't 9 months pregnant, she would have jumped in his arms. But she moved towards him as quickly as she could, tears of joy leaking from her eyes as she kissed him passionately. I am never letting you out of my sight again, she said. Huh? All the time, Naruto asked. As they both stay in the embrace. I miss you, Naruto, she said. Likewise, although I had a nice vacation, he said. If you ever pull a stunt like that again, I'll cut your balls off, she said. What the hell were you thinking? Sorry, Naruto said. His simple flat answer just made her angry even more. She was glad that he was back with them, but it seemed like he didn't understand his importance, his position. You're the emperor, for God's sake, Naruto. The entire Reich depends on you. You're the pillar that holds it together. Do you have any idea how scared the people were? Your life is yours alone. I, this child, Tsunade, Kakashi, Sasuke, Gaara, our people, and even Kurenai are depending on you. Promise me you will never do something like that again, Haku said, as Naruto lowered his gaze as he was terribly sorry. I understand, and I promise not to be that reckless again, said Naruto. You better not, or I'll kill you myself, she said. Huh? Naruto said, as the both of them looked at each other, and then started to laugh, as Haku bared her face on his shoulder, as Naruto was thinking about being a father. Alright, don't be nervous, suck it up. I have to be here for Haku now, he said to himself. Time skip. Naruto made a grumpy face as Tsunade performed another checkup on him, as she bound him to the bed, and that made Naruto glare at her, as she didn't want him to move while she made her checkup. He still needed rest. As Kakashi stood there with an amused look on his face. It's strange, your body's performing well for a man who woke up from a long coma, and plus there is this new energy, said Tsunade. Kakashi showed his Sharingan as he saw the pattern of the chakra that Tsunade just talked about. It was faint, it was new, it flowed within his body. You met them, didn't you? Asked Kakashi hesitantly, as he wasn't sure if his guess was right or not. As Naruto blinked as he was taken aback, as Tsunade did not understand. Yes, Naruto said. So it was true, Hiruzen was not bluffing at all, said Kakashi, as Naruto nodded. So it would seem they planned everything in case of a disaster, or my untimely death. What the hell are you two talking about, Tsunade asked. As Naruto patiently explained the events that followed after the assassination attempt, how the chakra forms of his parents activate inside of him. Their combined chakra engine made him survive a certain death. It's quite ironic. They saved your life twice, said Kakashi. So it would seem, in a way I am glad that the resistance tried to kill me. If that had not happened then Naruto stopped himself from revealing the hidden truth that his parents had told him. Obito, after all, is Kakashi's best friend, his death was completely concealed from everyone. Only Hiruzen, the elders, and Danzo knew about the truth, and they all took that truth to their graves. It also explained why the Uchiha clan faced such discrimination. Due to the actions of one man, the Uchiha clan was discriminated and feared. All of that lied in the past, but then he couldn't reveal this to Kakashi or Sasuke. It would destroy them and he couldn't let that happen. It's just like your parents to plan something like that, said Tsunade. I am glad that I met them. A lot of things have been cleared up for me, and I can look forward towards the future for now. I still don't accept for what they did to me, but I don't hold a grudge either. We arrived at a truce, Naruto said happily. That's good to hear, so you were vacationing with your parents all this time. And here you made me work overtime. I want work bonus, Kakashi said. I was working too, you know, Naruto said. And what exactly were you doing, Kakashi asked, as a smirk came on Naruto's face. Both Tsunade and Kakashi were shocked when they saw. What the hell, said Kakashi. Not only did their leader return back to them, but he was stronger than before. I promise you this, as long as Naruto Uchiha draws breath, this Reich will not fall. This I pledge as the emperor of this kingdom. Declare Naruto. Yes, your majesty, the both of them said. Time skip. Sasuke watched as Naruto was observing the war map in front of them, as Sasuke was super happy that Naruto was back. But there was something about him that changed, as Sasuke could feel it. You did well in holding our territory, despite the gruesome conditions. How is the morale for a man? Asked Naruto. They're ecstatic about hearing about the return of our leader, but many of them are still demoralized about our defeat and the loss of the Sarutobi fortress. When Gaara and his mans return, the feelings will only amplify, Sasuke said, making Naruto sigh. I see, there is nothing we can do about that now. Try to keep them confident, said Naruto, as Sasuke nodded. Naruto, the resistance has not launched any new war front or campaigns. In fact, they have abandoned many of their posts and have retreated, Sasuke said, as this was strange for them. As Naruto narrowed his eyes, this was definitely not the style of the resistance that opposed him. An invasion is coming, brother, Naruto said, the biggest one this world has ever seen till now. Do you really think the resistance have the strength to pull off something like that? We recently destroyed a large chunk of their supplies. I think the resistance is being supported by proxy allies, parties that are profiting a lot from this unending war, hinted Naruto. Akatsuki? Said Sasuke. Yes, but there's one more faction, a person who we have forgotten, a person who still lurks in the shadows, waiting for the chance to strike directly at me, Naruto said, as Sasuke tried to think of any enemies that have an unending desire to harm his best friend. But the problem was that there were so many of them Sasuke couldn't specify. Orochimaru, Naruto said. That snake, didn't you badly damage him all those years ago? No one can survive those wounds. Naruto shook his head. Right now there was only two people in the world that he has concerns about, one of them being Tobi, and the other would be the shadowy snake Sannin. As it stood, the Reich have three major enemy right now, the Resistance, the Akatsuki, and Orochimaru in the shadows. If it was a fight with one of them, the Reich could easily own their own, but if the three of them united, it would be disastrous. Taking a deep breath, Naruto made a choice that Sasuke may not like, and maybe they will call this a cowardly act in the future, but he could not do anything right now when this feeling, this unlingered feeling was in his gut. Commander, I order you to pull all four frontline forces to the Aksai line. They are to remain there and wait for orders. As a furious look came in Sasuke's eyes. You're asking me to abandon 40% of our kingdom after months of hard work. Have you lost your mind? Sasuke said. But he took a step back when Naruto glared at him. I am not done yet, Commander Sasuke. You will know well to speak to me in this manner ever again. Sasuke simply nodded as he was barely holding back his order. Order our forces to take all the food and water and supplies from those territories. It is a cruel act on our part, but it is necessary for the survival of the Reich. You want me to starve the people? Take away their right to live? Asked Sasuke. If my thinking is correct, the resistance are showing themselves as the liberators. Righteous people are trying to free the world from my terrible rule. As it stands, when they take over those territories, they will feed the people and try to get their support. But it will put a tremendous strain on your supply line, since those areas will already have their resources taken away by my army. This will put a strain on their armies that will have to part with their own personal supplies to feed the millions of starving civilians. Each area they capture would slow down their invasion because they will just increase the burden, Naruto said. Sasuke was left speechless as the tactician in him could see the effect it will left on the resistance. But what if the resistance doesn't feed them? Sasuke said. Then there will be revolts, massive civilian rebellion that will launch into conflicts. Desperate people will put everything on the line if it means their survival. And I doubt the resistance have the resolve to stop something like that, Naruto said. Untrained civilians against a trained army. That would be a massacre, Naruto finished for him. It will not only destroy the morale of the resistant fighters, but they will lose a lot of manpower and resources. Meanwhile, you will prepare our entire army for a massive operation. I will devote a massive chunk of our resources towards armor, the best, the latest weapons and armor and medical supplies for our troops. Our soldiers know this kingdom better than the resistance, and seeing their people being massacred and killed by the resistance, this would only fuel their desire for revenge. This will be Operation Crucible, Naruto said. A bold, daring, risky plan. The years haven't changed you as a fighter, Naruto, Sasuke thought. As Naruto expected more counter-arguments from Sasuke, but Sasuke gave him a salute. I promise to follow you to the end, no matter what lies in the future for us. You have my support. Promise, Sasuke, gaining a smile from Naruto. I can't thank you enough for everything you've done for me and this Reich. If I am the light that shines over this kingdom, then you are the darkness that shield over the entire Reich and protects us from all the enemy. We both are two sides of the same coin, Naruto said. You and your damn philosophies, Sasuke said. The two of us will lead this. Together we will crush the enemy with our combined power once and for all, Naruto said. Am I hearing it right, Sasuke said? The peace-loving emperor is actually pushing for war? There are the times when you have to use a sword to strike out the germs that may corrupt the foundation. Societies cannot be decided on human resolution alone. For every nation, history, there will have to be rivers of blood. And that will have to happen for the future, the peaceful future that we all desire, Naruto said. Yes, Your Majesty, Sasuke said, as he completely agreed with his friend. Point of view. Time skip. Naruto was tiredly going through a pile of unending reports, as he never thought that things would get so piled up in his little vacation. As Tsunade, Kakashi and Haku was here, but it seems like they couldn't do it all even though they did their best. It had been 2 days since he woke up from his coma, and he was not allowed to leave his medical quarters. Even still, he ordered the work to be returned to him. Haku would enter her last stage of pregnancy, and anytime soon their son will be born. Tsunade admitted her to the hospital in order to ensure her safety. While he would have liked to be by his wife's side, it didn't change the fact that he was ruler who had a lot of jobs. Thankfully, Haku knew it and understood it, something that he was eternally grateful for. There was a knock on his door, as the handle then turned as the person stepped inside, as it was Kurenai. As he silently watched as she made her way over to him. I am sorry for not seeing you immediately, Kurenai, Naruto apologized. No, I understand. I am just glad that you have recovered. I should be the one who should be apologizing for. As Naruto raised his hand stopping her. I knew the risk when I attended the negotiations. Let the problem of the past Stay in the past, please, he said, giving her a smile. Come, sit by my side, he said. Kurenai was quite surprised by his request. In the old days, she wouldn't have minded, but he was the emperor, and if there was one thing she followed, it was protocol. I won't accept anything else, so it's better if you don't make a tired man request anything further, Naruto said, as she came forward and sat beside him on the rather large, comfortable bed. Have you been treated well these past months? You were my guest until recently, and I am quite happy that you are now a citizen of the Reich. You can't understand how happy I am. Yes, I am fine, Kurenai said, completely hiding the fact of her house arrest all those months. No need to put any further burden on him, and she didn't want him to get mad at Haku. Naruto knew that she was not telling him everything, but he didn't want to push her. As she saw that he was staring at her, it was an unsaid fact between them that they still love each other. But in the end, they were well aware of their boundaries. Kurenai didn't want to get him back by stealing him from his wife, no matter how much she loved him. At the same time, he was an honorable man that stayed loyal to his wife. I was quite impressed how you diffused that situation and control it, as you got my men and Gaara freed. I am truly indebted to you, both as Naruto and the Emperor of the Reich. I just did the right thing. We can't let any more innocents suffer. Certainly if we can do the right thing, she said. UI Kurenai, he said. She looked at him surprised as he called her name, her full name in such a formal matter. As she got back on her feet, as Naruto pulled out a paper from his jaw, as he handed it to her. As she read through it, as she looked at him with shock and disbelief. Due to your admirable skills and your well-put performance, I hereby appoint you as a chief of internal affairs of the Reich. Apart from that, you will serve as my personal, strategic advisor. You will have a dedicated staff that will help you in performing your tasks, and I look forward to working with you, he said, as he extended his hands to her. As she looked there, just not saying anything, just looking at his hand, as she was surprised, the chief of the internal affairs of the Reich and a personal advisor to the Kaiser. As he sensed her misgivings, he smiled as he decided to clear up some things. This has nothing to do with our past connection. You are a woman of many talents, Kurenai. Your ability to remain calm in the toughest situations, in front of people regardless of their status, their power or their beliefs, and most of all your pacifist nature and your unbiased attitude that you show in the past negotiation. Despite being a former resistance yourself, you never took anyone's side blindly. Instead, you worked for both the people of the factions, trying to find a peaceful way to solve all of this. I have come to respect those traits, and I know that my rule will be better with you by my side. Kurenai felt deep satisfaction well up in her chest. He has always respected her as a warrior, as she loved him for that. Since I have resumed my responsibilities, I have ordered Tsunade and Kakashi to return to their position as governor of Fire Country and Water Country. Gaara will be in control of Wind Country as always. Sasuke has resigned from the post from Earth Country, since he wants to focus on his job as a Reich Army commander. In his place, Gurren will be serving as a temporary commander. Haku has always served as a prime minister of the civilian government, but since she's on medical leave, it will be up to me and you to take care of her task. Once you return, you will supervise over the workings of different parts of the Reich and coordinate with its governors. In short, you'll be my eyes and ears. Kurenai could only nod as he just explained all of the shift in the Reich leadership. But wouldn't people call this favoritism? Especially people that know about our... One of the advantages of being the emperor is that I don't have to explain my actions to anyone, Naruto said. But I have made sure that there won't be any doubts. As a matter of fact, I've already released the details of how you save our soldiers' life and reverted to the media. You save a lot of families by protecting their sons, their husbands, their brothers, sisters, and mothers. You earned this, he said. And when Gaara returns with his soldiers tomorrow, I want you to personally welcome them as my representative and make them feel welcome. It will only increase your respect for you, Naruto said. As Kurenai was just shocked at how he did things, as the way he did it, but a few people still wouldn't warm up to her quickly, but she will change your mind no matter what. More than that, I really need your help, Naruto said, This paperwork is killing me. As he rubbed the back of his head, as she looked at the piles of reports on his desk. Are you really sure about this? Asked Kurenai. As Naruto extended his hand, I need you, Kurenai, he said. That did it. Those sweet, sincere words, the way he said it, erased every doubt and hesitation from her. A smile came on her face as she shook his hand and then kneeled in front of him as she gave a salute. Then I, Kurenai Ui, pledge my loyalty to you at the Reich. I will work for the betterment of the people of the Reich and fulfill all your vision with my skill and powers. I will serve you to the best of my abilities or till the time of my death, or until you have no need of me, she said. As Naruto got off the bed, as he raised her up by her shoulders, as he gave her a happy smile, and he hugged her, as she hugged him back tight. Welcome home, Kurenai, he thought. Time skip. Kurenai was watching as Naruto spread across the bed, as he had a pile of paperwork. A bottle of whiskey was there, and she could see the line under his eyes even though he was sleeping. As she looked at Kidamaru, who was at the door, as he was the guard. If he keep working like this, he will use up his life in a few years, he said. I don't know for sure, but I think the Emperor hold himself guilty for not being able to help us for a while. He's a person who always lead from front. He never asks his subjects to do anything he cannot do. It's the reason why the people love him so much. But at this rate, said Kidamaru. How long was he working? Asked Kurenai. All night. Kurenai-sama, was it really necessary for you to wake him up right now? He needs rest. Yes, I understand, but I am simply following the order he gave me himself. The Empress is in the hospital with Tsunade by her side, and Kakashi is busy with his own work. And Sasuke is working with the army that only leave me and Naruto to represent the Reich in negotiations with the rebels. I don't like this either, but I will only increase his guilt if I don't inform about the negotiation that starts in 1 hour. Kidamaru released a sigh of defeat as he stepped aside and allowed her to enter as they closed the door behind them. As she walked over, as she looked down at him, as she saw there was some changes with him, she could tell that his body still needed to rest after being in a coma for so long lying down, as he still needed to regain his fatigue, as he has also lost a lot of weight. And also she could see strands of white hair in his blonde hair despite how young he was, and the lines under his eyes to show how tired he was. The Reich, now 4 years in rule, as this was a great accomplishment the now almost 20-year-old boy has achieved. But the more the Reich grew stronger, the more weaker Naruto became. It was like the kingdom was sucking the energy out of him. But Kurenai knew that Naruto knew it, but he never complained or let the ones closest to him find out about it, as he was doing all of this and sacrificing his own life to bring peace to this world for the future, as it made tears well up in her eyes. As his pillow was tossed away in his sleep, she gently put his head in her lap as she kissed him on the forehead, as tears were slipping from her eyes. I am so sorry, Naruto, she said. Before the Reich, before Haku, Operation Ghost, before Team 7, it was just the two of them, and their undying love, which they had for each other. She could care less if he was an emperor or not, or if Ninja World burned to the ground. As the years passed, she slowly realized what was the most important thing in life. You've been fighting against the entire world, carrying the burden on your young shoulder to save humanity, and as she stuttered, if only she wasn't blind back then, if only she could see how messed up the world was, she should have joined him back then. As she lowered her head, both of us has lost the things most important to us, he spoke, as she raised up and looked at him. Realizing the position that they were in, she tried to move away, but he held onto her hand. Don't be afraid, Kurenai, he said. How do you deal with it all? The loss, the pain. I feel my heart crushing around my chest. This agony is unbearable, said Kurenai. His own eyes became moist on seeing her in such pain. Why couldn't life just turn out easy? Why did it have to turn out this way? It really hurts when you lose the people that you love. Both of us made choices to save the people around us, but that left the both of us incomplete. You don't have to completely blame yourself. I should have tried harder. I should have pushed more until you see reason. But when it came to the most fragile thing in my life, I didn't push hard enough. I didn't try hard enough. You were blinded towards your patriotism, towards the village, while I was blinded by my choice. even if he meant the wrong ones. We both are equally responsible, Naruto said. As the both of them just stayed there in each other's comfort. As life was not a fairy tale or a dream movie or something like that, this was a harsh reality of the world. But they always loved each other, even when they were told to hate each other, as they were on opposite sides even when they were at war. She always loved him, and he always loved her. As she wrapped her arms around his neck tightly, as she was crying in his shoulder. As tears are also leaking from Naruto's eyes, unable to control his pain. Love can make even the strongest man vulnerable, and Naruto Uchiha was no exception. Soon reality would take over again. He would be the emperor, faithful husband, loving father, and fierce warrior. While she will be a strong leader, a noble leader, a strong diplomat, and a caring woman. I love you, Naruto. No matter what happens, I will always love you. People say that I conquered the world, that I got everything I desire. If only they knew that I lost everything in the process. My parents, my childhood, my youth, my dear Gigi, my best friend, my daughter, and most of all, you. Kurenai saw that everything that Naruto desired for his entire fight, he wanted family. Everything he had mentioned was gone from his life, but he still had a responsibility for this kingdom. I will always love you, Kurenai, Naruto said. She felt happy and sad on hearing those words, as she saw how difficult this was for him. I love my wife too, Kurenai. If not for her, I would have died a long time ago. She saved me, she filled the emptiness in my heart. And for that, I'll ever be grateful to her. She's precious to me, as you are. And I won't abandon her regardless of what I feel for you. I will be a good husband, a good father. That is all what is left for me, Naruto said. As she could clearly see each word he said was equally painful for him, as much as it was painful for her to listen to them. I understand, it's just... I know, Naruto said. She got on her feet and she wiped her tears away, as he did the same, as the both of them prepare for the long day ahead of them. But guys, I'll be ending this episode right here. If you want to see the next part of this, you already know what to do. Like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn that bell notifications to be posted. Remember to share to all of your friends in your social media platform, and stay in tune for the rest of the what ifs coming your way. But I'm out for now, guys. See you guys soon. Peace.